will be in relay room maybe, and your quad cable may be in OFC room or location box, right? When such is the case, we are bringing, we are connecting from location box to BPS equipment, that is basically a modem by some other cable. By doing so, we are missing some important aspect of the transmission line theory, that is impedance matching. We are joining the cable which is available, which is other than the quad cable. The portion of length which is used to connect the modem and quad cable is some other cable other than quad cable. What is this? This leads to impedance mismatch. The portion other than quad cable visualizes quad cable as a load, and this becomes a line where the characteristic impedance is different. What I mean to say is, characteristic impedance of line must be equal to the output impedance of the transmitter and input impedance of the receiver. I repeat this important statement. Output impedance of the transmitter, characteristic impedance of the line or transmission line or cable, and input impedance of the receiver, all three must match. Then only we can say the perfect impedance matching condition is applied. What happens if you miss this particular important aspect? What can anybody, if the impedance matching phenomena is not followed, what could be the consequence? Can anybody please respond?
Data problem.
Loss of signal.
Loss of signal in the form. One by one, boss, please. Reflections back to the source. Actually, the signal is supposed to be transmitted in the forward direction, but unfortunately, due to impedance mismatch, the part of the signal will go back to the source, which is not desirable. Is it not? In the beginning, you may point out, sir, then why some systems are working fine. In the beginning, all the systems are new, cable is new, transmitter is new, receiver is new, equipment is new. So this may not be sensible in the beginning, but as age passes, time passes, due to performance degradation, aging effect, environmental parameters, then the failure starts to stem. Failures start coming. We don't understand why suddenly failures are coming without any valid and visible reason, because we are not aware of this important aspect of impedance matching. Okay, right? So what I request you, please ensure impedance matching at all locations, that is equipment to cable and cable to cable. Even sometimes you may join the cable to cable also. At that instance also, where that instance occurs, while deriving of joint, while deriving and tapping the EC socket from the mainline quad cable. There also impedance matching is essential. So wherever the cable properties changes or interfacing between the two different types of cable or equipment to cable, so please ensure the impedance matching where the characteristic impedance of the cable plays a very important role. This is why we have gone in detail yesterday. This is what we have discussed. Okay. Is it okay for all? Are all of you are agreeable, or any having any contradiction or any dispute? Please let me know.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, how can we define the characteristic impedance?
Yeah, that's what we have spent a lot of time yesterday. Characteristic impedance is a instantaneous ratio of instantaneous voltages and time varying functions. Voltages and currents are time varying functions along the transmission line. It is the instantaneous ratio of suppose a voltage is VZ direction and IZ current is the IZ direction. At any particular point on the transmission line, you take the ratio VZ upon IZ. That will be defined as a characteristic impedance, right? And we have the standard values and specifications. You can refer even in my slides. It is clearly mentioned at what frequency what is the characteristic impedance. Okay. So for example, we take a 6-cord cable. Take the example of 6-cord cable. What is the characteristic impedance? Can anybody? At normal operating standard operating frequencies, what is the characteristic impedance of 6-cord cable? Yeah, very good. Somebody responded 470 ohms. Good, 470 ohms. And it has been observed in the field. Even in recently, we have visited the Secunderabad division at 1 year back. SCADA applications, where the SCADA modem was the output impedance of the transmitter of SCADA modem is still 1120 ohms. This modem has been designed in the this modem has been designed with the intention that the cables are still being loaded, but they are not aware. The modem manufacturer are not aware of that. We are not at all using. We have modified our to loading to unloaded, but still they are producing their modems at 1120 ohms output impedance and input impedance of the receiver and output impedance of the transmitter. So when this happens, so we have to be very careful in connecting such instances by properly. Yes, please, somebody. Hello. Okay. So the main point I want to clear is impedance matching to be ensured at all instances where the cable to cable or cable to equipment is being interfaced. So this is the core of the transmission line theory. Impedance matching is the core point of the transmission line theory, or when you observe the any cable for that matter. Okay. That is why even for some standards they won't allow joints. Let us say the case of the networking cable, Cat6 or Cat7 cables. Now Cat7 cables are being used for corporate data centers. They throw away the entire piece. They don't allow even a single joint or whatever. Even you may ask for soldering or whatever it may be. They will not allow joints at all. This is the reason. At any instance, they want the transmission line should be supposed to have the uniform transmission parameter characteristics from the transmitter to receiver. So any short of any amount of inhomogeneity, irregularity in the cable properties leads to the improper transmission and deterioration of the signal or distortion of the signal. So they won't tolerate such things. Okay. So in railway also we should follow as far as possible joint free, reduce the number of joints, that is desirable. At the same time ensure the matching, the impedance matching. Okay, right? Now we land into the important topic, that is telecom cable laying practices. Okay, this is perhaps the most challenging task in the establishment of a communication link. As far as equipment is concerned, रातों रात हम equipment लगा सकते हैं. We have yes.
इन सेक्शन हम सर कैसे मेंटेन करेंगे सर वो उसके इंपीडेंस मैचिंग का सर कॉर्ड केबल जब शुरुआत होता है स्टेशन से इन बिटवीन जो इमरजेंसी लोकेशन आता है सर तो उसको प्रैक्टिकली सर हम कैसे उसको मेंटेन करें तो समझाएंगे सर.
Yeah, maintain. You have to use the what is the solution? Can anybody? What is the solution to if at all it is inevitable to match, to connect the two different diversified cables, or if equipment is not matching, impedance matching, what is the solution? Can anybody? Is there any on-hand solution if it is inevitable? Somebody responded by message. Yes, very good. Any other? As impedance matching transformer, right? Very good. Impedance matching transformer that has to be used. Okay. But as far as possible, try to terminate in the cable. Even transparent impedance matching transformer is also not much desirable, because again you are inserting a overhead into the communication link, which is not desirable. But if it is mandatory, yes.
सर ये आइसोलेशन ट्रांसफार्मर सर ये हर सर्किट में यूज करेंगे सर. ये हम इमरजेंसी का कंट्रोल है सर, उसके लिए हम यूज करते हैं उसमें.
या इमरजेंसी में करना है बॉस. इमरजेंसी 10 पेयर केबल यूज करते हैं ना आप इमरजेंसी सॉकेट के लिए.
सर डाटा सर्किट के लिए सर उसके लिए भी आइसोलेशन ट्रांसफार्मर यूज कर सकते हैं क्या?
नहीं data circuit whatever it may be, when you are deriving the cable from the main cable to the equipment by some other cable, definitely you have to use it, or otherwise if that is why you have to study and understand the equipment properties. What is the output impedance of the transmitter? What is the input impedance of the receiver? These things will be available in the specification sheet. Okay, so you have to use the proper cable. Otherwise there is one more solution. That is why the equipment manufacturer suggests the type of cable also. If you use it, you need not do any transformer impedance matching. Okay, that is 600 line you are using for connecting a telephone pair. That is 600 ohms line. So in such case you need not use because it is suggested by the manufacturer of the equipment itself. So either you have to follow the guideline of the equipment manufacturer, or if you have some manipulation or design, if you implement some design and of the link, then you have to observe this property. Either of that you have to do. Okay, right. Let us move forward. Telecommunication cable laying practices. As I pointed out, this is perhaps the most challenging task the communication engineers encounter during the establishment of a communication link. A transmitter and receiver, or you can say collectively as a equipment, it can be installed overnight by just bringing mobilizing the resources. But this cable laying is severely constrained by the other departments, and severely make the impediments by the unit to have obtain the more number of permissions, sometimes within the railway, sometimes outside the railway you have to obtain the permissions, municipal corporation permission or panchayat, or sometimes you may have to cross the private land also. So this cable laying is really a tedious job and challenging job. Not only during initial installation, but also subsequent maintenance also is very difficult as far as cable laying is concerned as a part of the establishing the communication link. So further that this is the reason you have to spend sufficient time on the learning and understanding the best practices of the cable laying. The best practices of the cable laying. सबसे पहले inspection of the cable run by the consigning. We all know that 6 quad cable. The following slides refers to the laying of the 6 quad cable in general. So I refer the drum length is 1 kilometer, and the weight of this drum is obviously कितना है मालूम है weight of the drum approximately 2000 kgs or 2 metric tons. So you have to verify these details: drum number, size, cable diameter, conductor, diameter of the conductor, size of the cable, manufacturer details. Where is my pen? And year of manufacture. All these things, length of the cable, address of the, all these strips must be made available on the drum. In addition to that, the important point you need to check here is RDSO inspection, RDSO inspection seal. What is this? How it will look like? All of you aware of this RDSO inspection seal? This is very important because cables are being a safety item. It must be the inspection agency is RDSO. One more thing I want to point out here during the inspection of the cables, even though it is certified by the RDSO agency, RDSO certified, and you will have the IC along with the delivery challan. IC means inspection certificate along with the delivery challan. In spite of having this, it is your responsibility to verify at least some of the conductors, if not all drums, all cables, some of the cable drums, some of the conductors, and satisfy yourself. And you have right to reject if you find something which is not in order. As a end user, you have this privilege, because there is ever chance that cable might have damage. Yes,
sir, after RDSO inspection,
yeah,
then RDSO is a authority.
yeah, of course RDSO is inspected, but you are the end user, you are the final authority. Even though cable drums are certified by the RDSO, yes, but still, as a end user, if you find something which is not in order, if you find some deficiency, definitely you can reject. You have the right to reject, even if it is inspected by. But
Sir,
by
what is
making
the role of
proper
RDSO?
remarks. Hello?
Sir, what is the role of RDSO?
अरे यार, RDSO कहाँ इंस्पेक्ट किया?
नहीं, इंस्पेक्ट तो कर दिया, तो सर जिम्मेदारी तो सारी उसी की, लैब सेटअप सारा वही होता है हमारे पास।
सर इंस्पेक्शन सर्टिफिकेट इशू कर रहा है।
Yeah, your argument is okay, but who will be the victim? RDSO victim or you will be the victim? RDSO inspection है, you see, it is not like just like throwing the blame or जिम्मेदारी, because suppose during the loading and unloading and transportation, there is ever chance of cutting the damage of the cables. You are the end user, भाई. You are the end user.
सर कट फिट का तो ठीक है सर, लेकिन गेज का, गेज मेन है गेज।
Yeah, gauge you
0.9
you can verify by gauge. You can verify using the screw gauge.
नहीं गेज के अलावा सर और केमिकल्स टेस्टिंग वगैरह बहुत सारी
No,
टेस्टिंग
no.
होती है
See, Parag, you are not. That is why the inspection agency is RTSO. You can do the visual inspection. It is not like that. RTSO has undergone the entire whatever the applied high voltage test, all the destructive tests, all the facilities are with RTSO, and RTSO did all these things. But
Okay, sir.
what is the fun of accepting the material if it is physically damaged, which you can just visualize with your eye inspection? Visual inspection से आपको damage दिखाई दे रहा है.
Yes,
What
sir.
is the
ठीक
fun
है,
of
sir,
having
वो
all
ठीक
the
है.
okay? So
That is right, but inspection of
if the fundamentally
technical
cable damage is दिखाई दे रहा है, उसको accept करने से meaning नहीं है ना
नहीं
भाई.
नहीं वो तो कोई नहीं करेगा सर.
That's what. Even what I am telling, you may not have all the facilities to verify the end-to-end testing, which is beyond your scope. But you can make the visual inspection. You can test the loop resistance. You can check the insulation resistance. You can check the transmission loss. Okay, the test which you can faithfully and comfortably carry out, you should carry out. सबसे पहले visual inspection. There is ever chance of damaging the cable drums, cable during the loading, unloading, and transportation. In such cases, you cannot blindly accept the cable, telling that RTSO's inspection certificate is there. So it is not like that. You can that's what I am going to point out. Is you are right to point out, and by making the proper remarks, you can reject the cable even if it is certified by the RDSO if sufficient ground is there and making the suitable remarks. Okay, right. Let us move forward. The handling of drum is ये थोड़ा सा आपको ध्यान देना जरूरी है क्योंकि अनलोडिंग माने रेलवे का डेफिनेशन कुछ अलग होता है. अनलोडिंग कैसा करते हैं जनरली? अनलोडिंग जस्ट ऊपर से ढकल देते हैं. ट्रक के ऊपर एक आदमी बैठ खड़ा के ऊपर से ढकल देना अनलोडिंग का डेफिनेशन होता है रेल में. लेकिन अनलोडिंग के प्रॉपर प्रोसीजर दिया हुआ है अपना टेलीकॉम इंजीनियरिंग मैनुअल में. And two chains, not even single chain. It should not be the V shape is not allowed. Parallelly, दो rod लगा के parallelly crane से hook से लेके unloading करना होता है. Otherwise, the stress of the weight of the cable will create the stress on the cable itself, where there is a chance of damage of the cable conductor, and which will not be suitable for the subsequent laying. So, please, this seems to be very trivial and simple in nature, but still needs much attention, and even though they are simple, they will have the much repercussion during subsequent performance of the cable.
क्रेन कौन बुलाएगा? कंसाइनी मंगाएगा कि कौन मंगाएगा?
That will be mentioned in the contract agreement or purchase order, and that same is prepared by the user department only. If you mention, and if there is something mentioning about in the contract agreement, it is the responsibility of the contractor. Then the contractor will call it. Otherwise, if it is not mentioned, say you are safe. You can call it and you can pay from the imprest or any other means you are following. Okay. But if it is mentioned in the contract agreement that the responsibility of loading and unloading transportation is entrusted to the contractor, then you cannot pay from the imprest cash or otherwise. Okay. So that is his responsibility. So in either way, if it is not mentioned, you can do that. Okay. And nobody will question you. And there is a provision. You can use that. Okay. Same thing mentioned here. In the stacking of the drums also to be done in a proper way, so that the
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, last 2 points, sir.
Cable shall not be flat means drums should be stacked in a tight shape. Okay. Very closely spaced. Okay. Cable shall not be kept on a flat means पलटी करते हैं ना generally drum को हम. जनरली पलटी करते. पलटी क्या बोलते हैं हिंदी में? क्या बोलते हैं भाई?
Yes. पलटी
वैसा नहीं रखना है. ठीक है. Drums should be stacked and do not be too closely.
ही बोलते हैं पलटी.
Okay. So this is the way of handling the cable drum. Handling the cable drum is also needs much attention and supervised at least at SSC or JE level. Okay. Next, come to the planning for the laying. Yes.
सर पीपीटी ग्रुप पे भेज दीजिए सर.
Actually, it is shared to PT sir, but in group also I will try to put it. When I tried using WhatsApp web, it is not showing the attachment option. I have tried yesterday a lot to put the PPT, but still again I will try to today to share it. Okay. Next comes to the planning. This is very important, boss, and needs much attention as most of us lacking in the field, and most of the works are being done in a unplanned and ad hoc way. As a result, we are not getting the proper quality of the work because of very poor planning. Okay. So most of the times people are visiting the site very first time during the cable laying only. This is not recommended. Only during when it comes to the actual cable laying only, most of these people are visiting the site for the first time. So it is not desirable. So the extensive survey needs to be carried out. I will also mention the JPO, which is recently one is issued in the 2013. Actually, it is issued way back in the 2004 and subsequently in the 2007 and latest 2013. A JPO has been, the same thing has been reiterated with some modifications. I will also show the JPO, and JPO clearly stresses the importance of the planning and proper cable laying work. Okay, so this 200-meter chart is very important aspect. Okay, please, hello, please mute others. Please mute the mic, please. Some unnecessary voice is getting some noise. Hi boss, please mute your mic, boss. Some trainees.
जिनका भी माइक है उसको म्यूट कीजिए.
Okay. One thing we have to understand is we need to make the extensive survey before actually deciding the actual cable route. While doing so, what are the things we should throw on light? What are the things we should look for? That is track center alignment. Track center alignment is very important thing. By the way, where you get the track center line of the track alignment? By the way, how you get this? Can anybody? Track center alignment and railway boundary. Railway boundary on either side. Hello. Hello. Yes, track center line. Track center line alignment. Somebody responded. It is from engineering department. Absolutely right. Engineering department will, while taking over the land from the state government, land acquisition authority, they will mark the railway boundary. After making the railway boundary, they will make the alignment of the center line of the track, which we call it as a engineering land plan. This engineering land plan is the basis for the cable route plan. Our survey, it is the main input for surveying and identifying the cable route. What is that? Again, I reiterate, engineering land plan. Just like engineering scale plan is the basis for signal interlocking plan, SIP. SIP के लिए basis क्या है? Engineering scale plan, in which the yard layout is clearly chalked out with all the dimensions and major structures, station building, platforms, island platforms, non-platform lines, sidings, sand humps. All these things will be detailed in the engineering scale plan, which is the basis for signal interlocking plan. In the similar way, engineering land plan is the basis for the engineering land plan is the ESP. Very good. ESP, somebody responded. ESP is the basis for cable route plan. Cable route plan के basis क्या होता है? Engineering land plan. This engineering land plan completely covers the entire block section, including the yards. So in which all the structures where in addition to the center line of the track, location of the yards with mileage and hectometer posts, buildings and major structures, LC gates, bridges, water bodies, and existing cable paths, if any, already laid, or future even future structures and future जो आने वाले हैं वो भी mention करना चाहिए. Likely track crossings. Okay, all these things are available in the engineering land plan. So based on this thing, we can easily locate our cable route plan, and by physically surveying, not on the paper. Office में बैठ के plan पे ऊपर खाली लिखना नहीं है. By physically making the survey. Surveying is essential ingredient of the cable laying work. Cable laying work के लिए surveying is definitely indispensable. That must be carried out anyway. But unfortunately, 90% cases it is not so. Okay. Next, drum length, cable length workout करने के लिए भी cable length workout करने के लिए भी guidelines है. We have to consider the contour length. What is the contour length? Because track length is different. Cable route length is different, actual cable length will be different. Okay, so please understand these intricacies while working out the cable length, actual cable length, by making the proper allowances at all strategic locations. What are the strategic locations? Track crossings, road crossings, okay, LC gates, and we have to use some additional loops of cable at all these strategic locations, at all these locations where we want to avoid the joints. The fundamental idea is we want to avoid joints on the mid of the bridge, underneath of a track, underneath of a road. We want to avoid these things. In order to do so, we need to plan in advance and keep the additional lengths of cables at all these locations, so that subsequently in future, if any problem occurs, we can avoid such critical activities. Particularly, even forget about road crossing and municipal authority permission. You won't get from our own railway department, engineering department to cross the track. It is tedious task. The people who are working are very well aware of this fact. So getting the permission from the engineering department for track crossing is really a nightmare thing. You will never get particularly in the present scenario of very high density of traffic, you will not get line block. So we have to plan for these things in advance. So we have to be, our planning must be perfect in such cases where we will avoid such complications at subsequent stage. And this is also important. Get approval from the engineering, S&T open line if you are in construction organization, because the real Malik will be the open line. Construction just an outsourcing agency. Remember, the original Malik kaun hota hai? Original Malik will be the DRM. Deputy CSTE is only the executor. So when it comes to DRM S&T will be the original owner. So you have to take the permission, the approval.
Senior DSP.
Hello.
Open line, sir. Open line. Senior
Yeah,
DSP.
open line.
Senior DSP Malik.
Yes, senior DST is the Malik. Okay. And
Excuse me, sir.
electrical in electrified area. Okay. So you are doing the work. You are the owner of the work only for execution only. Subsequently, it has to be handed over to the open line only. So that is why all the drawings and your plans and the proposed works must be periodically updated. And not only updated, before commencement itself, you should take the approval from your proposed work. Your proposed work should be get approved by the open line. This is very essential. Okay. And at the same time, in traction electrified area, the senior TRD must also be involved. Okay. Anybody want to say something?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, scale of detour. Scale of detour. ये क्या है सर?
जी अच्छा detour. Okay, scale of detour. Detour means it is a contour allowance. The margin you keep for your cable route that may go in zigzag manner. Okay, you have to take that margin also. This is also known as contour allowance. Okay, that means while if you measure with I will take in a layman mode. Take the measurement using the 30-meter tape from traction mast to traction mast. You will get some length X. Okay. But for the same length, if you dig the trench and lay the cable, the actual length is insufficient. Do you agree or not? Actually, your measured length is insufficient. Do you agree or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, obviously. The margin between the measured length and actual length is called scale of detour or contour allowance. You need to keep some additional margin, because when you lay the physical cable, your trench is not a perfect straight line. Is your trend
zigzag
perfect?
जाएगा सर.
Yeah.
No no sir.
Huh?
Yes sir. वो प्लेन नहीं होता है, एक तरह नहीं होता है ना, zigzag होता है, उसमें केवल मार्जिन बढ़ेगा.
Even though you give the perfect marking using the chalk powder and all, even the digging is done by a very skilled and efficient people, there will be a difference between the actual measured length and actual length of the cable. That particular difference is coming into relevance. Okay, right. Next. General precautions. Here I mentioned about the general precautions that have to be followed while cable laying. Of course, do not drag the cable, and this happens because still we are adopting the 1875 Indian Railway Act का जमाना में जो equipment है वही use कर रहे हैं हम. We are not implementing the modern cable laying equipment which is available in the market, but unfortunately we copy paste the estimates. We are following the same age-old, brute and primitive methods in laying the cable. Just drag, get drum पलटी करके uncoil करके उसको twist, bend, what not, drag. This is the reason before commissioning itself, we are damaging the half of the creating the damage on the cable. During the cable laying work itself, due to improper handling and improper practices followed during cable laying, the cable is itself getting damaged 50% before commissioning. So it is highly essential to recognize the importance of the best practices that is to be followed during cable laying work. So unless otherwise sufficient provision is made in the contract agreement or estimate, we cannot implement during the execution phase. This is why again I stress the importance of the planning and surveying is very much essential. Okay. So cable to be carried using the center bar. Actually, the cable has to be placed with the wedge and winches. Winch बोलता है winch. Wedge and winches, on which the cable has to be placed and freely suspended. That cable drum has to be suspended on the winch. And after doing that, if you pull the cable with a specified amount of tension, then the cable laying process will be done smoothly without exerting stress and strain on the cable. Okay. Similarly, before such laying, ensure the soft soil, a bed of soft soil on the digged trench. Let us say 10 centimeter of the soft soil. And this will not only clear the undulations at the bottom of the trench. What do you mean by the undulation? What do you mean by the undulation at the bottom of the trench? At the bottom of the trench, if the undulations with irregularities, if the cable is laid with the keeping those irregularities, cable will take the shape of the wave after refilling the trench. After refilling होने के बाद soil will exert the pressure and the cable will take the shape of wave, sine wave instead of a straight line. So if you put a bed of loose soil, let us say 10 centimeter, that cable will the undulations will be cleared and the surface will be the even. The bottom of the trench surface will be the even, so that the cable will not receive any pressure from the soil. Okay, so that this soft soil will give the cushioning effect as well as clears the undulations. Okay, and the drum to be lifted with the jack and rotated freely, that I mentioned, and measure the insulation resistance. This has to be done. Cable end sealing after laying. Otherwise, most of the cases we have observed. Actually, low insulation faults this is the reason for the low insulation fault. If you leave the end of the cable open or any cable in between is punctured, the water can potentially enter from there and it will take the gravity to the vulnerable location of the joint, and in joint you can find the accumulation of the water. This is what practically we are observing in the field. Okay. So people suspect the vulnerable location is the cable joint location, but actual culprit kaun hai? Either water has entered from the non-joint location basically, but where the cable is actually damaged partially, where there is a chance of penetrating water inside, and water follows the gravity slowly and accumulated at the joint location. At the joint location, the water is accumulated like a bottled water. If you pour in the water in a bottle like that, the large amount of water is accumulated. Even if you shake the joint, you will hear the sound of water. Okay. This is the direct consequence of not properly sealing the cable. Okay. So when you leave a cable unsealed after laying and before jointing, this may happen. Okay. And drum number and kilometer obviously noted. And straight line laying, no snaking and twisting. This is also frequently observed, particularly with unskilled labor when they handle. They don't have this awareness. They don't know the consequences. So their job is to complete the job very quickly and leave the site. In this mode, they will be in this hurry. They will do what not, all the evil effect that cause the cable laying, and consequently the performance will be during the performance period we will get the frequent failures, and the performance will be deteriorated very quickly. Okay. Of course, overlapping at the jointing location, it is already told. Extra loop of 5 to 10 meters to bridges and culverts and repeaters to be kept, as I already envisaged. And the specific precautions, this is very important point, at least 5.75 meters away from the center line of the track, and cable length beyond embankment. What is embankment? Earthwork or embankment are very common in civil engineering structures. So they will not allow you to touch the embankment or earthwork. So whenever you proceed to the RCC bridges, GI troughing is there. So you have to do the what is called grouting. Grouting is important. Grouting, GRO, grouting is important thing that is to be incorporated, particularly when you approach the earthwork or embankment for your cable to pass over a RCC bridge or masonry bridge. This grouting to be done on either end to give a perfect safety to the cable. Okay. Again, depth is a disputed item. Depth of the trench is a long disputed. People debate much on what 1.65 or 1.2 or 1 meter or whatever it may be. This is one more thing in the with regard to the depth of the trench is a proportionate payment if depth is not achievable. Proportionate payment if depth is not achievable. Proportionate. What is this condition? What is its implication? What is it? Can anybody? Can it be done now? The proportionate payment. Suppose कोई जगह में डेप्थ अचीव नहीं हुआ, 1 मीटर की जगह में खाली 50 सेंटीमीटर मिला,
उसका पैसा कटेगा सर।
हाँ जी,
उसका पैसा काट दिया लोग, उसको करना तो है 1 मीटर, लेकिन 50 सेंटीमीटर होना नहीं चाहिए। साइट को डिपेंड करता है कैसा सिचुएशन है। तो उसका हमको प्रिकॉशन लेना पड़ेगा सर। 50 सेंटीमीटर में उसका प्रिकॉशन लेना पड़ेगा। दूसरा शेड्यूल में है केबल के लिए।
ये आप जो बोल रहे हैं ये पहले की बात है, लेकिन वो कंडीशन ही अलाउड नहीं है अभी। रिसेंट रेलवे बोर्ड गाइडलाइन क्लियरली सेज, recent railway board letter, I will show the letter, railway board letter in this slide only, I will show that letter. Now there is no question of proportionate payment. You cannot compromise with the safety of the cable. So वो provision रखना भी नहीं है। वो provision रख दिया तो left and right use करते हैं हम। So railway board ने क्या किया, in view of recent lot of number of vigilance cases are due to the improper depth. So अगर आप improper depth को room दे रहा है तो left and right people are using, saying that depth is not achievable, इसीलिए हम proportionately pay किया। 50 सेंटीमीटर का जगह में 45 सेंटीमीटर किया हम, फिर भी you are not safe, you are compromising with the cable and you are allowing the contractor to make the concreting, which is having very high rate than the running meter. Very high rate than the, for example, concreting is 356 rupees, while digging is 65 rupees per meter. So if the contractor is to dig 1 meter depth, he will get पूरा मेहनत करके 1 meter digging करने से उनका खाली 65 rupees मिलेगा। So वह क्या करेगा? He will take the shortcut. वो simply बोलेगा सर depth is not achievable, 50 सेंटीमीटर मिल रहा है, so इसीलिए हम concreting करेंगे उसमें। So concreting
वो तो अलाउ नहीं होगा सर। नॉर्मल में उसको करना ही 1 मीटर।
That's what.
नहीं नहीं सर, अगर 1 मीटर नहीं डेप्थ होता है तो उस केस में क्या होगा सर?
एक मीटर में डेप्थ होना ही है। रेलवे बोर्ड ने हटा दिया उस कंडीशन को। अरे अभी बिल्डिंग्स तोड़ रहे हैं, 1 मीटर डेप्थ अचीव नहीं हो रहे हैं
जी,
1 मीटर डेप्थ अचीव नहीं होगा।
नहीं करना ही है, यानी किसी भी कंडीशन में करना है।
अभी टनल में कितना मीटर डिगिंग कर रहा है, मेट्रो में कितना मीटर डिगिंग कर रहा है, मेट्रो के अंडरग्राउंड मेट्रो में 1 मीटर से ज्यादा है, कम है। सो रेलवे बोर्ड हैज took the spirit. There is no question of impossibility of having 1 meter depth. I will show the circular. इसी स्लाइड में, नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में आएगा सर्कुलर। So railway board prohibited the proportionate payment condition was, please note.
सर
So yes.
Okay sir.
सर जैसे मान लीजिए स्टेशन यार्ड में वहाँ पे केबल है, केबल के नीचे केबल है और वहाँ कोई जगह नहीं है, कहाँ पे कर सकता है बंदा?
कहाँ से you are not the person to judge.
डाइवर्ट करना पड़ेगा।
Escalate at the higher level. That should be dealt at least JAG level. Okay. If the practical difficulty to be explained to the and to bring to the notice of the higher officials on paper, then they will decide. They will decide. But remember, first thing is, point number 1 is a condition allowed nahi hai. The wording proportionate payment will be done if depth is not achievable. The condition is highly strictly prohibited. So you should not put that condition while estimation and tender document preparation stage. Okay, this is point number 1. Point number 2, if such
Kindly send the letter, sir. Show the letter.
Haji?
Sir, kindly show us the letter. That will be our reference.
Yeah, this is the letter. Are you able to see this letter? So
सर ग्रुप में डाल दीजिएगा।
subject is irregularities in the works of trenching and laying. Lot of vigilance cases are there. Why vigilance case? Why vigilance angle? SSC thinks that, listen carefully, I am telling, thinks that I have not made any extra single paisa to the contractor because contractor has made 50 centimeter, मैंने 45 centimeter के लिए पे किया, I am safe. SSC thinks like that. But what happens, you know, the moment you compromise with the depth, for safety you will ask the contractor to put the concreting or some other thing which is costly affair and favorable to the contractor. So contractor is having benefited in 2 ways. One way is he need not do much effort. He can save the labor of achieving 1 meter. There he has been benefited. Second benefit to the contractor is he is putting the concreting there, for which in running meter it is more than 356 rupees. In place of 65 rupees, you have paid him 356 rupees. So this is clearly a vigilance angle, which you are not aware. So please, this condition is totally prohibited. In view of increasing vigilance cases, this condition is prohibited by the railway board.
Sir,
There shall be no proportionate payment for cable laying at the depth less than the specified in the understanding.
sir,
And it is clear. So please listen completely. Let me complete.
okay.
If any dispensation is required, if any such situation as you are telling is required, then it should be dealt at least JA grade level, officer level. It has been clearly mentioned. Okay. I hope now it is clear. Now come on, tell me, Kaun.
Sir, this is the latest letter, 2014.
Oh, yeah.
This is 2020.
No way. After that, you show me any letter prohibiting this.
सर ये तो प्रैक्टिकली हो ही नहीं रहा है अभी कहीं भी।
हो ही नहीं, मतलब हम लोग कर ही नहीं रहे, इसलिए नहीं हो रहा है।
नहीं हो रहा है सर कहीं भी ये।
नहीं, बस आप ऐसा बोल रहे हैं,
प्रोपोर्शनल पेमेंट हो रहा है सभी जगह।
आप ऐसा बोल रहे हैं,
ऐसा नहीं होता है।
विनी, अरे सुनिए भाई, आप ऐसा बोल रहे हैं सर, कोई भी क्लास पे टाइम पे नहीं आ रहा है। अरे जबकि रूल है, आप क्लास पे 9 o'clock माने 9 o'clock क्लास पे आना है, रूल है। If you say nobody is following, what can I do? Nobody is following is different, rule is different. It is up to you to follow or not.
सबको फॉलो करना है
I can only tell the rule position. I tell the rule position. If you are not doing, I cannot do anything. Okay. If you are saying that nobody is following, I am not the person to enforce the discipline on all of the people. Okay.
सर ये कह रहा हूँ सर, जैसे अपने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एग्रीमेंट में ये लिखा होता है सर, आइटम की पेमेंट अकॉर्डिंग टू प्रोपोर्शनेट पेमेंट, उसमें ये लिखा होता है।
Pardon?
अपने सर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एग्रीमेंट में जो हम एक काम करवाते हैं सर, उसमें आइटम जो होता है उसमें लिखा होता है पेमेंट प्रोपोर्शनेट।
हाँ, उसमें नहीं होता, बस नहीं रखना है भी नहीं है भाई।
फिर हमारे सर हमने कई सारे काम करे उसमें तो सर ये लिखा होता है, मतलब
आना होगा, अब नया से चिट्ठी आने के बाद नहीं होगा, आपको नया शेड्यूल में वो
नया चिट्ठी
ठीक बोल रहा हूँ भाई।
2020 चल रहा है, यहाँ तो सारा ऐसे ही हो रहा है।
वो बहुत पुराना उसका टेंडर होगा, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट
नहीं भाई,
कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होगा।
don't link up, you are link upping, you are conflicting two things.
सत्यनारायण सर,
If you are not following something, it is not rule. Okay,
सर
लाइन पे खड़ा रहना है रिजर्वेशन काउंटर में, और कोई भी नहीं कर रहा है, इसका मतलब कि ये रूल नहीं है क्या? It is up to you, it is up to individual wisdom, individual mindset.
सर
यस यस सर,
Enforcing agency. Okay,
यस सर,
right? Do you agree?
फॉलो करना है। यस यस
सर,
सर, एकदम।
Okay, right.
Excuse me, sir.
1 मीटर होना है तो होना है बस।
Bas, that's all. That's all. There is no exemption for that. Nahi
Yes,
kar raha hai.
yes.
Don't claim that people are not doing.
No,
I am
no,
not
no,
here
no.
to implement all the
बस
Indian Railway. People से कराना
उसका-
मेरा काम नहीं है. मेरा काम सिर्फ बोलना
उसका
है.
पेमेंट काट देना है उतना।
Okay. और remember, ये proportionate payment condition रखना भी नहीं है. That is the railway board says. Okay.
सर
That is what
सर
railway board says.
सर मान लीजिए कि अगर मान लीजिए 50%, अगर 50 मीटर ऑलरेडी डूइंग हुआ है और नहीं कर पाता है तो सिर्फ पेमेंट ही काटेंगे ना?
नहीं नहीं, उसको पेमेंट ये एमबी भरो मत, टोटली करो मत।
ओ अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, तो ऊपर से तो प्रेशर आ जाता है कि नहीं जो कंप्लीट करना है।
See boss, these all I am
तो यही प्रॉब्लम है।
to the details of the merits of your case. Okay, to tell the guidelines.
असाइनमेंट कंप्लीट करना है।
तो प्रेशर को सस्टेन करने के लिए आपको पैसा दे रहा है। See, if everybody is doing every work, our subordinates are doing everything, our contractor is also very nice person, फिर हमें जरूरत क्या है भाई? बताइए, हमें जरूरत क्या है? If everybody, our technicians are working very loyally and obediently, doing their job without giving instructions, without confronting, our contractor is doing everything in right, when everything is in place, then हमें जरूरत क्या है? हमारा जरूरत है। तो इसीलिए दो प्रेशर लेने के लिए है हम, दो टेंशन बोलता है people tell don't take tension, much tension. अरे टेंशन लेने के लिए बैठा है इधर, है कि नहीं? We have to go into the detail. We have to separate the things. Okay, anyway, that is a different topic. Let us not deviate. Okay, so this is the rule. It is up to you to follow it or not. Okay.
सर ये लेटर को ये व्हाट्सएप पर सर डिस्प्ले करिएगा सर।
ये लेटर है बॉस, ये ढूंढने से मिल जाएगा, रेलवे बोर्ड साइट में, सिग्नलिंग डायरेक्टरेट में है ये। ओके,
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा,
रेलवे बोर्ड साइट में है ये। ओके, इट इज नॉट nowadays nothing is concealed, everything is transparent. From railway board to SSC level, you can browse each and every circular issued by each directorate. Okay, so you need not wait for some circular to come to you. Okay, and you can bring the highlights and issues to your higher officers. Okay, right, let me proceed. Okay, let me move forward. So there are different types of methods of cable laying which are in vogue. Laying direct in the ground, drawing through ducts, laying solid, and cable layings at road crossings, long bridges and railway tracks. These are the special occasions where our attention is needed. We need to pay much attention where the safety is involved, where the vulnerabilities, where the failures may occur. Okay. Yes, some noise background is being observed by. I am also experiencing that. Okay. So laying, digging the trench and putting the cable in it and closing it. Okay, it is very cheap when compared to the other methods, and depth of trench is normally 100 centimeters or 1 meter. Remember, again for this, if your CSTE issues a circular contrary to that, he may issue 1.2 meter, you have to follow that. Otherwise, it is 1 meter. Okay. In case of quad cable and OFC cable laying together, the same trench, it to be kept 1.2 meter with a width and one cable over the other. Like that, even you can put the signaling cable also same trench in yards. See, remember, both signaling, telecom, quad cable and OFC can be put in the same trench. Okay. So if such be the case, one clear brick separation, brick mane eat, brick separation to be maintained between the signaling cable and the 6-quad cable. Okay. So in between the OFC will come, signaling cable will be outside, and the telecom quad cable will be the inner side. Like that, the cabling is to be done. And one more guideline, brick laying must be done from the distant or outermost signals. Some distant to distant. Brick layer protection. Brick layer protection in 1 meter, approximately 9 bricks are to be used. In 1 meter length, 9 bricks are to be put on perpendicular to the direction of the cable, so that the 9 bricks will cover the 1 meter distance. These are also known as warning bricks. Warning brick mane koi bhi prospective diggers will, after digging, they will find these bricks and they will become alert at least. And some urban areas where the lot of digging activities are very frequent, where there is interference of the municipal authorities will be there, then the people also use a warning red tape. A warning red tape indicating the cable above 30 centimeter above the brick layer. So that will also be given another advanced indication. It is like double distance signal, advanced warning. In double distance, we give the more advanced information. Like that, the warning tape need to be put in the trench so that the people become alert and they will at least alert during the digging, if not before damaging the cable, before the actually cable damaging. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
सर अगर सेम ट्रेंच में सिग्नल का क्वाड केबल, टेलीकॉम क्वाड केबल और ओएफसी डाला जाएगा तो कौन सा सबसे नीचे रहेगा और ओएफसी क्या सबसे
नीचे नहीं, पैरेलल ही रहता है, जनरली पैरेलल ही रहता है. Generally, if you follow the practice of 1.2 meter, then the OFC will be the deeper one, most deep, lowest depth में OFC will be there, and signaling and telecom cables will be separated by a brick layer. A brick एक दीवार जैसा ब्रिक को सेपरेट करना है, एक दीवार जैसा बनाना है ब्रिक को. Brick separation must be done between the signaling and telecom cables will be laid side by side with a brick separation.
इसमें जब अपन एक साथ में केबल डालते हैं, हेलो सर
जी बोलिए.
एक साथ जब केबल डालते हैं सर, सिग्नलिंग केबल है, टेलीकॉम केबल जो भी है,
जी
वी आर फेसिंग लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम, क्योंकि अपन जो इसमें आइडेंटिफाई नहीं कर सकते हैं ऐसा केबल है. बहुत साथ में अगर एक साथ उनका 6-quad केबल भी 2-4 डला है, अपना भी डला है, तो एक बहुत ज्यादा टिपिकल प्रॉब्लम फेस करना पड़ता है. और
फिर सेपरेट करो ना, कौन मना किया? बट इफ इट इज इनवेटेबल, दैट्स व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग. इफ इट इज इनवेटेबल, इफ इट इज मैंडेटरी, अगर कोई पर्याय है ही नहीं, उस समय क्या करेंगे? एक ही ट्रेंच में डालना है, मजबूरी है, उस समय क्या करेंगे? करो. उस समय भी यू कैन नॉट अवॉइड, यू डू इट, बट उस समय ये प्रिकॉशन लेना है, ये मेरना का बोलना है. ऐसा नहीं है आपको जरूर सिग्नलिंग एंड टेलीकॉम केबल एक ही ट्रेंच में डालना ही है, ऐसा नहीं बोल रहा हूं मैं. इफ इट इज इनवेटेबल, देन यू हैव टू मेंटेन द ब्रिक सेपरेशन. ओके.
इसमें जब अपन, लेकिन जब ड्यूरिंग फेलियर के टाइम में अगर कुछ अपन ट्रेंच करते हैं, तो वहां पे ओएफसी केबल कटने के भी चांसेस मिनिमम रहते हैं सर, क्योंकि इतना अपन कॉशियसली
सी, हर चीज में प्रोस एंड कॉन्स होता है बॉस. आप जो बोल रहे हैं सही है एकदम, मैं मना नहीं कर रहा हूँ, बट इफ इट इज इनवेटेबल माने आपको मजबूरी है, कोई पर्याय नहीं है, ऊपर से आदेश आया है, you take the proper actions.
सर ये पावर केबल, सिग्नलिंग केबल, टेलीकम्युनिकेशन केबल का क्या वो होना चाहिए?
या कम्युनिकेशन. Pardon?
पावर केबल मतलब सिग्नलिंग का पावर केबल, सिग्नलिंग केबल एंड टेलीकम्युनिकेशन केबल, उसका क्या सीक्वेंस होना चाहिए?
सीक्वेंस ये है कि outer most one will be the power cable. Okay. Again you put the brick separation. Again put the signaling cable and brick separation. In this case, you take the JCB bucket. Use the JCB bucket 450 mm instead of 300 mm. यूज 450 mm. 2 साइज आता है JCB बकेट का साइज. JCB जो डिगिंग करता है ना, जेसीबी को बकेट का साइज 2 साइज आता है, एक
Mostly
300 mm का आता है, एक 450 mm का आता है. If power cable also to be done, power cable can also be done. Remember, people say power cable is prohibited in the same trench, but it is not totally prohibited. As far as possible, you avoid it. If it is inevitable, you do it with these precautions. Okay?
हेलो सर.
Okay, sir.
Okay, good.
सर मेरा
Let me proceed further. Yeah. So these precautions are very much essential, boss. The protection of the cable should be given utmost important while cable laying work. If such is the case, if the cable laying is done in such a way that you will be very safe and peaceful during its maintenance period of 20 years. It is 20. The cable life is 20 years. During 20, if it, once for all, it is done very in a perfect, in a sophisticated manner using all the modern cable plant laying equipment, and with the very
होने नहीं देता है सर.
site surveying, then it will give you a guarantee of 20 years. But unfortunately, it is नहीं हो रहा है. क्या करूं मैं, क्या करूं आप क्या करेंगे, नहीं हो रहे हैं, ये बात अलग है.
सर ड्यू टू इंजीनियरिंग के कारण उनका काम ही होते रहता है, तुरंत हो गया, तुरंत किया, फिर वहीं पे कहाँ से होगा, काट देता है सर.
हाँ जी.
इंजीनियरिंग का वर्क होते रहता है यार्ड एरिया में सर.
अरे
डॉट
इंजीनियरिंग
प्लानिंग कर जेसीबी चलाता है, काट देता है, कितना बोलिए ऊपर से कुछ नहीं होता है.
इसीलिए आपका
बर्बाद कर देता है.
सुनो ना, इसीलिए आप
जी सर.
दिया आपका एम्पावरमेंट दिया. जेपीओ, आप जेपीओ देखा है? जेपीओ, आई विल शो द जेपीओ आल्सो. जेपीओ इज गिविंग द empowering you. I will show the JPO here. I will JPO. This is the JPO. Are you able to see this JPO, Joint Procedural Order? Okay, Telecom Circular issued in the year 2013. Okay, this is Joint Procedural Order. ये clearly envisage दिया है. Nobody can escape from their responsibility. Okay, so the engineering department here, you have to first, your responsibility is this cable route plan shall be made available to the senior DEN. Here it is mentioned. Okay, if you are cable laying agency, you means S&T, Signal or Telecom or Railtel, even Railtel. Okay, here it is clearly mentioned. ये देखिए, आइटम नंबर 2 पढ़िए, आपका जवाब है, आपका सवाल का जवाब है. Before taking up any digging activity on a particular work by any agency, including engineering department, not only engineering, the concerned section must be approached. They have to come to you. Okay, in writing by the engineering or S&T or electrical officer permitting the undertaking the work. Okay, senior DST, senior DE, after ensuring the concerned executing agency, including the contractor, have fully understood that cables, electrical cable shall permit the work within the 7 days of the request by the concerned. आप 7 दिन ले सकते हैं. आपको परमिशन देने के लिए अगर कोई इंजीनियरिंग निकाल, पहले आपको पास अप्रोच करना है. ओके, तो ये डिगिंग करने के बावजूद भी पेनाल्टी कैसे इम्पोज करना है, ये भी क्लियर जेपीओ पढ़िए आप. We don't have time to discuss all the matters. Please acquaint yourself with this JPO. This is very important. आपका पास ये ब्रह्मास्त्र है, ये ब्रह्मास्त्र, ये यूज कीजिए. लेकिन इसका यूज करने के लिए आपको कुछ जिम्मेदारी भी है, ये भी आपको फुलफिल करना है. केबल रूट प्लान ठीक ढंग से बनाना है, केबल रूट मार्कर्स रखना है, और केबल मस्ट बी मेड अवेलेबल वेल केबल रूट प्लान लोकेटिंग ऑन केबल रूट मार्कर्स आर शोइंग. ऐसा नहीं है केबल एक जगह है, प्लान में और एक जगह है, केबल रूट मार्कर और एक जगह है. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. मोस्ट ऑफ द केसेस ऐसे होते हैं. ये अपना लैप्सेस है. ठीक है.
यस सर.
आप पहले अपना लैप्सेस फुलफिल करने के बाद ये यू कैन इम्प्लीमेंट. ये ब्रह्मास्त्र है आपका पास, ये अत्युत्तम आयुध है आपका पास, ये गुड वेपन. यू कैन एनफोर्स दिस. इसमें सारा ऑफिसर साइन किया है, ऑल डिपार्टमेंट. जो दिस इज वाई इसको कहते हैं हम जॉइंट प्रोसीजरल ऑर्डर. दिस इज गिवन एट द हाईएस्ट लेवल, दैट इज रेलवे बोर्ड. That is railway board, and you can use this if anybody damages your asset.
भेज दीजिएगा सर.
हाँ, yeah, sure.
Kindly post कर दीजिएगा सर.
Okay, shall we stop here? This is so, and if any discussion is there, we will make it 4:30.
Time is stopped. टाइम हो गया।
That's what I am saying. Okay.
आपका और पीरियड है?
हाँ,
ब्रेक है सर, केबल का और पीरियड है?
केबल का बस हो गया बस, केबल का हो
सर ये
गया।
पावर पॉइंट को आप
नहीं
मेल नहीं कर सकते?
हाँ, मेल कर दूंगा जरूर। मेरे पीटी साहब को कर दिया ऑलरेडी, पीटी साहब कोर्स डायरेक्टर साहब को कर दिया। आप पीटी साहब से ले लीजिए, अदरवाइज इफ यू प्रोवाइड योर ईमेल आईडी I can also directly mail you, and even I can directly answer to your questions, okay, in your mail. Your experience and
हेलो सर।
हाँ जी,
हेलो सर,
बोलिए बोलिए।
एरिया सर नहीं पड़ा।
हाँ जी,
पर्सनल ओपिनियन है सर कि ये जो इतने सारे केबल्स अपन ले करते हैं अपने साथ में, तो एज ए OFC डक्ट अपन जैसे यूज करते हैं अलग अलग कलर के, तो व्हाई कैन नॉट वी यूज द कलर स्ट्रिप ऑन केबल?
Sure, definitely भाई, definitely. Who is preventing you? You can do that.
Sir, नहीं, at the time of manufacturing we can purchase a lot of cables in kilometers from the supplier या manufacturer. Then why we cannot inform them?
Yes, sure भाई, ये platforms है, ये interacting platforms at every, even nowadays Prime Minister is asking suggestions from the lowest one. Railway Board is asking suggestions from the lowest employee, even including Group D. You can raise at appropriate level. If subject to feasibility, subject to practicality, your suggestion will be honored and implemented. It's not like that. Nowadays, it is not like that. पहले का जमाना में सब है, भाई कुछ आदेश दूंगा आपको कुछ पालन करना है, ऐसा नहीं है. Nowadays, the governance is in a transparent manner. Railway Board is asking, coming down to the field, asking suggestions from the field people at point of time.
We are facing lot of problem to attend failure during.
Sure. You can raise this problem in meetings with your higher officials, or during when they ask suggestions, when they ask opinions from the people, problems from the people. At appropriate point of time, you can raise these issues. No problem. They will be. You are welcome. Your suggestions, if they are practicable and feasible, definitely people will implement. Okay. Right. Thank you, Ananda. Thank you.
सर इसका मतलब है कि रेलवे के अलावा भी गवर्नमेंट सही काम कर रही है?
हाँ जी. Pardon, boss.
मैंने पूछा सर, आपने बताया अभी रेलवे के जूनियर से भी सवाल किया जा रहा है और उनकी प्रॉब्लम को राइज किया जा रहा है।
रेलवे
गवर्नमेंट के थ्रू आपने भी बताया ना सर?
हाँ. Yes. Suggestions. Your suggestions are being taken from the lowest level. Okay. Suggestions are being taken. They are accepting the suggestions. Okay. You can. Okay. Okay. Let us close this session. ఉన్నారా ఇక్బాల్ గారు?